Afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are joining us across the world. Is day 5 of Data Science Nigeria AI Everyday Virtual Bootcamp. There's a slight change in the program. So today we're going to our day 5 class with John Robert, a data engineer. Will be leading us through Azure fundamentals and how to pass Microsoft certification. But before I do formal introduction, I should remind you that we started on Monday running back-to-back classes on best practice learning in different dimensions of data science. And as you know, we're an organization driven to build 1 million AI talent in 10 years using different dimensions. But today, before we go into our class, I will talk about how Data Science Nigeria solve business problems, which is an integral part of our vision. One of the tools that we have is a tool called Data Cloud, which is a tool that allows business to quickly and easily collect data using local residents in rural and urban areas. And those data may be to check, verify, observe, or quantify any activities that is happening locally where you do not need necessarily super trained researchers. And those data have tag capability, which means that you know the exact coordinates, so you want to check some basic, things like billboard placement, whether your street canvassers are actually on the street, the price of your product, the price of your competitor's product, with geo-tagged indicators and timestamp. You can use our solution to deliver that. So we call this crowdsourcing of citizen science, and it has multiple cases. It might be as simple as you want to know some point of sales merchandising material, are they available? So you can use ordinary people who will use their basic smartphones, take the picture, upload via our app, and then we can dimension it and analyze it on a geospatial basis. It might be any of these use cases, but what's important is the fact that you can get some very robust analytics around those and answer some basic business problems around your outlet efficiency, your market footprint, sales agent efficiency, and even as simple as out-of-stock rate. You want to see your planogram in efficiency. You want to understand whether retailers are selling your product at the recommended retail prices. We can deploy very available people who are in all the 774 local governments in Nigeria, and you can make a very important decision before the end of the day using our tool. So these are use cases where you can integrate a lot of our data with your Salesforce automation and retail sensors so that you can get richer georeference insight. Our data cloud works effectively for ground truth so that you are really sure what is happening on ground by using real people who are in those locations who can use their phone to immediately collect data for you. And of course, when you're able to get this kind of data, it can help you to drive your special market development strategy for your dealers, for your retailers, for your sales force, for your various teams. You can be more effective using geospatial data. And of course, we use satellite data to also understand market movement, market pattern, customer migration. We can help business to integrate their local data with external data, and they can make better informed decisions on where the opportunity is shifting, where competitors are growing, and other extraneous factors that might be affecting marketing opportunity. Okay, so like we say, we help business to make sense of all kinds of data, numbers, text, sound, pictures, video, geospatial. Data Science Nigeria is an organization to engage. Of course, we also help organizations to recruit talent so that you get solid AI and data scientists. And then our trainings are there, datasciencenigeria.org/trainings. Companies that we have trained, you can see a lot of them. We are leading in this area. As consulting organization, we offer bespoke, industry-specific, category-specific, and of course for individuals who want to accelerate their growth as professionals. And we do this up to executive level, board level, to ensure that knowledge is pervasive and organization is well positioned to add value. So check this website out. Like we say, whatever we make from our trainings and consulting is invested back in training massive number of Nigerian students across the country through our pervasive training programs around across the country on campuses, at our hub, all the time at Bootcamp and several other interventions that we have as Data Science Nigeria. So you can download our annual report and read more about what we do in our quest to make Nigeria an AI destination in the next few years. So that's Data Science Nigeria. You can know more about us through any of our social media handles, and our footprint, our website is on the screen. So welcome to day 4 of our 5-day AI Everyday Virtual Bootcamp. It's such a great day to have John Robert. He was actually meant to speak on Friday, but we're bringing it to Thursday. He's a data engineer with Daimler AG Germany. He'll be engaging us on how to introduce us first to Microsoft Azure, knowing how it works, and then he will introduce us to certification and how easy it is to make your certification happen, especially as an expert who want to validate your skill set. So once again, let's go to class and let's have a wonderful time. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for being part of AI Everyday Virtual Bootcamp.
Good evening, everyone. Guten Abend to my German friends, bonsoir to my French friends, Abalioma to my Igbo friends, Baka Dadari to my Hausa friends, and any Temini Ile Yoruba equivalent. So, I hope everyone is keeping safe. I hope you are making good use of the quarantine period. I hope you're washing your hands, keeping social distance, and following the rules. I just wanted to know that tough time don't last. So we're going to go through this phase of life, and soon, possibly in matters of days or weeks, all these things will be settled, all these things will be over. So my name is John Robert. I really want to appreciate Data Science Nigeria for giving me the opportunity to share my little knowledge and also to learn from you guys, because I will learn from your comments, I will learn from your questions, and you are going to correct me on maybe I make some mistakes or stuff like that. So for me, it's an avenue to learn. So at this point, I want you to grab a cup of coffee if you have one, or maybe bottled water if you have one, or you can also get pure water or sachet water as you call it. Here I have my bottled water. Just what I kept in my bottle. That is fantastic. So we're here to learn together. So let's learn. So I grew up in Nigeria, in Ibadan. I did my bachelor's at the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. Then after my bachelor's, I moved to Germany to do my master's in data analytics. So data analytics is a mixture of big data, which has to do with PySpark and Hadoop, and then I did machine learning. Well, they teach me reinforcement learning, deep learning, natural language processing, and all that, and a bit of data analysis too. So I'm doing my master's in data analytics at the University of Hildesheim in Germany, and I should be done this year. So before that, I worked as a software engineer in Neptune Software Group in Lagos. Then after that, I moved to Abroad Group, which is a private equity company in Lagos that invests in Nigerian business. I was on IT support in Abroad. Then I moved to eClat. eClat has been acquired by InterSwitch. They do the health, they provide the health application for InterSwitch now. So I was an application support engineer there. Then I moved to Germany. I worked with Bosch Engineering in Stuttgart as an intern. Then I moved to Daimler, popularly known as Mercedes, I'm doing majorly data engineering. science, but I'm also an intern there. So I'm working with the self-driving car team for Mercedes. So a little about myself. I mean, just to tell you a bit about myself, but we are all together. We are all here to learn. So get anything I maybe I've done before. I'm here to learn from you. So a bit about my hobbies. I like traveling, and I promise to wear my crested NYC shirt to all the continents. I've worn it in for Europe, Asia, North America, and of course in Lagos, just to um, just to show that Nigerians are good people and to represent Nigeria. So I like listening to podcasts. I can recommend the AI podcast by Lex Freeman, Business Law podcast, and the Dealmaker podcast. I like coding. I do more Python now, and I like learning. Like to learn cultures, languages, anything new tech and stuff like that. I just like learning. So let's dive into what we have today. So I'm sure you're familiar with the image on the left. Um, it's popularly known as network room, server room, and all that, but it's a data center. So what we're going to learn today is how we are going to move from this data center that looks like a storeroom to a data center that looks like a living room. So you can see in this living room kind of data center, you can put your couch there and sleep. You can take some selfies, upload on Instagram, on TikTok, and stuff like that. It just looks very beautiful. So we want to move from the ugly to something really beautiful. So if you don't know what a data center is, a data center is just a place to keep your application and the data. It has like servers, the routers, switches, the firewall, storage, and all that. Then, of course, with this whole COVID-19 thing, you can see that everybody is sitting at home and we are all kind of using cloud computing because you heard that there was like 700% increase in the use of Skype, the Zoom, and a lot of people are watching movies on Netflix and all that. All this thing has to do with cloud computing, which we're going to talk about today. And so it's very important to us because everyone is moving online, everyone is moving remotely. We're now working remotely, so we're using VPNs and all that. So I'm sure most of us are familiar with this data science process. I'm not going to go deep into it because I'm sure Data Science Nigeria has a lot of tutorials, a lot of videos, a lot of books to teach us these things. So I would advise you to check some of their tutorials out, some of their books out to learn these basics. But just a brief introduction. So data science, we gather data, we do some data exploration and pre-processing. We remove some null values. We do some categorical data. We transform data. Then we put this transform data into a model. We train the model. We test the model. Then we package the model. We validate the model. We deploy this model we have done. So deploying is like allowing people to use this model, not just allowing this models to sit on your computer and no one use it. The beauty of building something is for people to use it and for it to work. So you deploy the model, monitor how data gets into the model, that means real life data at this point, and then you can also like retrain the model based on this real life data. So today we'll be talking about how we're going to move all this machine learning or this data science process to the cloud. And when I mean the cloud, I don't mean the cloud where the plane fly. You understand? Not that kind of cloud, but you by the end of this talk, you're going to understand what the cloud we're talking about means. So let's get started. So you can take a sip of your water now. Yeah, so what is cloud computing? Cloud computing is the on-demand availability of computer system resources, especially data storage and computing power, without direct active management by the user. In layman English, all this means is that someone is going to help you manage your data center. That's the whole summary of this whole definition. So I got a definition from Wikipedia, and we have an image here that shows you that all this application platform and all this infrastructure, they are all in the cloud, and we can connect them using our phones, our tablets, our computers, and all our IoT devices, maybe your fridge or self-driving cars and all that. So you can connect to this and get data, get information, do some influencing, do some prediction using by connecting to the cloud. So why do we need cloud? Why can't we just use the normal data centers we have before? So first thing, which is very important, is for is cost effective. So for instance, you want to build a model, so you know that you need possibly a GPU, so you go to the possibly to computer village to get a computer. Now, if you're going to get a computer that has GPU, maybe NVIDIA GTX 1080, and you spend possibly like 450,000 naira, or average of like 150,000 naira, average of like $1,200. But instead of you buying that, you can just buy your normal computer of like 100,000 or $500, and then you can do the same thing using that computer. So it helps you save a lot of cost. And one more interesting thing is that it is pay as you go. For instance, on your MTN SIM, you can call, you can recharge your credit, and they charge you based on when you call. They don't charge you when you don't call. So it's the same thing. You have a credit on this cloud computing service, and based on when you use it. So maybe you only need to train your model for 24 hours. So just that 24 hours, you pay for it. And when you don't need it again, you can like shut it down. And so it helps you save money, because you are not going to be training a model every day. Maybe not, but just help you save money that way. And the way these cloud providers make money is what we call economy of scale. So, for instance, you go to Balogun Market in Lagos. If you tell the woman selling something you need 2 packs, she tell you, okay, if you buy 2 packs, you get this amount. If you buy 100 packs, you pay this amount. So based on the quantity you buy, then she can give you some discount. So that's the way these cloud providers make some money or save costs, because they buy in bulk. So they can save a lot of cost, and those costs that they save, then they transfer that to we the consumers. So we have scalable. Scalable means when there's like you need to increase like a storage, or you need to increase the computing power. For instance, you're training a model and you notice that, oh, I need to increase the computing power to like 12 gig instead of 8 gig, so you can increase the computing power immediately. But if you have your local data center, that means you need to buy some new storage, and you may only need it for only one experiment, which is not very cost effective. So we have elastic. Elastic means that, for instance, you have a website, and then there we have Big Brother Nigeria or some other event, and because of this event, there's increase in demand on the website, or possibly in the bank during the week or possibly on Fridays too, I learned the same. Very high demand, very increase in transactions. So based on for instance 8 from 6 to 5, when you have high demand, the your application expands its ability to get to process more transaction, and when it's in the evening or in the night, it reduces the demand. So based on this, it can increase and reduce. So that's what elastic means. And current just means it updates these cloud providers help you to update your servers. So for instance, during the ransomware attack, you needed to update some of your resources. So you don't need to do this yourself. Or possibly there's a new OS or an upgrade in OS or an upgrade in the database. These service providers help you to update it. So it's reliable. This means that backups and disaster recovery. So it helps you not to lose your data. It's global. Global means so imagine you have a website or you have an application that your users are more on the east coast of the US, possibly in California, and then on the west coast of the US in California, and then your data center is in Lagos. Now the distance is so far, and this can cause high latency. So the cloud computing providers have different data centers in different regions of the world. So based on where your customer is, they can easily access your application. This reduce latency. So it's secured too. We have two types of security. We have the private security and the physical security and the digital security. So the physical security has to do with some gates, some cameras, just to prevent someone from physically going to the data centers to steal the servers or your data. And we have the digital security, that is to prevent hackers and from people from stealing your data online, and you are shutting down your application. So we have also resilience. Resilience just means if there is a failure, it can easily recover from the failure. Then we have availability, that means it's always available. Availability is very important in cloud computing because imagine Instagram is down for 5 minutes. You can imagine the chaos that is going to cause. So Microsoft has what we call the service level agreement, which is an agreement signed that your application is going to be available 99.9% of the time, or maybe 95% of the time, depending on how important or your application or your website is. So now let's dive into the providers that we have. Of course, we have Amazon. I'm sure Dr. Easy talked a bit about Amazon Saga Maker on Monday. We have Microsoft Azure, which I'm going to talk about today. We have Google Cloud, we have IBM, we have Alibaba, we have Oracle, Salesforce, and all that. Of course, Microsoft Azure seems to be Amazon seems to be the Amazon seems to be the best now because they have the highest market share. But in technology, when you sleep and you wake up the next morning, a lot of things have changed. So today, yes, Amazon is the best, but no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow. And also, I like this because since there's a lot of competition, this helps these providers to give us the best, to innovate every time. If you check Amazon website or you check Microsoft website, you're going to see that they are giving us new products every day just to make sure that they satisfy we, the consumers. So so we have a lot of similarities between each of these things. They have similar words, similar give us similar services. Like on Amazon, the storage we have like S3 bucket and all that. On Microsoft, we have like the blob storage, the data lake, and all that. On Amazon, we have like virtual private cloud. On Microsoft Azure, we have like the virtual network, and then Microsoft Microsoft, we have like the machine learning studio and the machine learning designer. On Amazon, we have the Zaga Maker. So the Zaga Maker is to create automat to do drag and drop in Amazon, and on Microsoft, we also have this designer to do drag and drop. So we can see that it's a lot of money going into this cloud computing. In 2019, it generated about $96 billion. So this is just to show you how things have been going. So in 2018, you can see the revenue was a bit low, and now they're making more. That shows them they are getting more customers and people are using it more. So we can see that Amazon has Netflix as a customer, Philips, and all that. We can see that Microsoft has Walmart, Ford, and of course Daimler, which is why I'm doing Azure. Then Google has Spotify, Disney, eBay, and others. One thing I wanted to pay attention to is what you call availability zone. So these are just like the location, physical location of the data center. So you can see that each one of them are trying to add new location each time to provide us better service. Yeah, this picture is a bit blur, but what I want to show us is that in 2020, it is predicted that the AI and machine learning engineers are going to use more of the cloud. You can see we are the highest, you have 66%. So this is a knowledge you need to know because we're going to use it. It's going to help us to make our work faster and better, and a lot of people are using it already, and the increase in people that are using it too. So let's dive in more. So what is cloud deployment model, or what are cloud deployment models? So we have the public cloud, the private cloud, and the hybrid cloud. The public cloud is just like the data science is fully managed by the providers. The private cloud is that you manage your data center yourself, but Microsoft has a service that they can help you build your data center. For instance, in the finance industry, like a bank, maybe there's a policy that says that you need to keep all your data in your locally, right? So that's an importance of private data. And we have the hybrid data. Also, it can be used in financial system where you manage part of your data, for instance, maybe transaction on your private cloud, and then some other data on the public cloud. So hybrid cloud is a mixture of public cloud and private cloud. So types of cloud services. So we have different types of cloud services. We have the on-premise. The on-premise is just like private cloud. All these services are managed by you. We have infrastructure as a service where you manage the application, the data, the runtime, and the OS, while the providers manage the virtualization, the server, the storage, and the networking. We have the platform as a service where you manage less and the provider manage more. And we have the software as a service where the provider manage all. So an example of infrastructure as a service is like the virtual machine. So an example, so virtual machine is you using somebody else's computer. So for instance, you just from the screen, you are accessing a computer, and everything you do is going to be processed by that computer, but that computer is not your local computer. So that's what virtual machine is. An example of um, platform as a service is your web application, where you can deploy your web application, your APIs. An example of software as a service is um, like Skype, like Office 360, like Slack. So these are just software and you can just use them online. So cloud computing is more on infrastructure, platform, and software as a service. Of course, we have other as a service things like database as a service, function as a service, and all that. Yeah, so let's get familiar with some keywords in cloud computing. So this is really used by almost all of them. So we have the compute. So the compute is used for hosting application, like the virtual machine I spoke about earlier on. We have the Azure container. This is used for um, building your containers, like you have in Docker. We have the Azure function. So an example of Azure function is, for instance, you order something on Jumia. When you click order, you get an email that when you complete your order, you get an email that you have completed, that the order has been completed. So at the point of clicking submit, there's a trigger that triggers a function to send an email. So that's what a function is. Then you have storage, of course, like the blob storage to save your data, like unstructured data, for instance, the data you have on Instagram. So your data you have on Instagram is a bit unstructured because you could just upload videos, upload audios, and stuff like that. No one, it's not like it's not like a relational database where you have tables. Of course, we have the database, we have tables too, like SQL servers, and we have the networking. So networking is used for connecting to these resources. So all these resources that are in the data center, you need a way to connect to them. So we use the networking service, for instance, VPNs, the DDoS. So DDoS is the distributed denial of service. This is when someone tries to like send a lot of traffic to your website or to your web app to shut it down or to make it unavailable. So these providers help you to help protect you from all that. So now a lot about the cloud computing. Now we're moving into Microsoft Azure. So Microsoft Azure is simple, a pay-as-you-go cloud computing platform provided by Microsoft. Next time you see this sign, know that it's for Microsoft Azure. Now we have some keywords in Microsoft Azure. So the bigger box is Microsoft Azure. Inside Microsoft Azure, we have what we call the subscription. So subscription is just like a billing account. So imagine in a company we have different departments. You can create different billing accounts for these departments. So the HR department has a different billing account. The developers have different billing accounts just to manage your manage the spending. So we have what we call resource group. So resource group is just a group of resources. That means, for instance, the computing power you use in the development team is different from the computing power they need for the HR team and for other teams. So it's just a way to to group all the services you are going to use. And for us machine learning engineers and data scientists, we have what we call the workspace. So the workspace is just to it's for you to group everything that has to do with a model, that has to do with an experiment. For instance, you're trying to predict if someone has the abilities or not, and you create an experiment for it. So you need some computing powers, you need some Python scripts, the notebooks, you need the pipeline of the data itself, the experiment. The experiment is like you test, for instance, the first is you can have different run in an experiment. You can have like using a particular hyperparameter, then use a different hyperparameter. So you have different runs in an experiment. So the experiment contains all the runs. So you can have the results from different runs like in an experiment. Then you have the model, of course, possibly for this prediction of the prediction if someone has diabetes or not. You use different models, you use SVM, you use some other classification models. Then we have storage accounts for keeping data. We have the application insight for giving you insight about the performance of your model or performance of your experiment. We have the keywords. The keyword is just for you to just like you have the votes in the bank, is for you to keep secrets or keep password and stuff and secrets about the model or about the application. And then we have the virtual machine I explained earlier on, and we have the container registry. The container registry is just for managing and building containers. Now, these are the Microsoft Azure certification part. I did the AZ900, which has to do with Microsoft Azure fundamental exam, and the DP100, which has to do with designing and implementing of data science solution on Azure. Of course, we also have other certifications like for the AI engineer, for the data engineer, for the architect, and so on. And there's always a confusion between where data science is, where an AI engineer is, or a data engineer is, and a data analyst is. The bit explanation would be that a data science person is going to like go from the cleaning of the data to the transformation of the data to analysis of data, then to training the model, testing the model, and all that. But the machine learning engineer focus more on building the model. So you meet most of them in conferences like NeurIPS and conferences like NeurIPS. I was in NeurIPS in Canada, and I was so excited to meet a lot of data science Nigerian team. The data engineer works more with like Kafka, Hadoop, Spark, so they do more data infrastructure and processing. So we have some Azure costs tools. So you wonder how do these providers charge you? So they charge you based on resource type, possibly the number of gig of computing power you use, and then the location of your resource type, because some resource types are in the US and you don't have them in South Africa and all that. So based on the resource type you use, then you have the subscription type. So the different subscription type is on support. For me, I just upgraded to the developers subscription. So of course, if you're an industry, if you're an organization, you're going to use you need different support based on how important your application is. And of course, the inbound and outbound of traffic. Then Microsoft provided us with some tools like the total cost of ownership calculator. This is just to show you a comparison between your on-premise and what is going to cost you when you move to the cloud. This is before you move. Then you have the pricing calculator, which is to show you an estimate of what you can spend next month or things like that. Then you have the cost management, which we're going to show you what is taking your money. That means where you spend where you're spending your money on, Then you have the advisory. This advisory just tell you, hey, the model you are running is using only 2 gig of the data and 2 gig RAM, but you gave it 8 gig. So maybe you should reduce it so to save cost. Yeah, so one good thing is that Microsoft provides us a free account that we can use for 12 months, and they give us between like 170 to 200 credits. They gave me 170, but on the website it was like 200, so that's why I put 170 to 200. We have about 25 plus services. Then we have Azure tools. So Azure tools, we have Azure portal, is like a website where you can do a lot of things. We're going to see it. We have the Azure PowerShell and command line for those that prefer to write batch scripts on the Linux and Microsoft and Windows PowerShell scripts. Then we have the cloud script. The cloud script is just this shell on the cloud. We have the mobile app. We have the because we're very important people, Microsoft provides us with the machine learning studios focus on majorly machine learning projects, and we have the machine learning designer, which is for the drag and drop. So we're going to do just a brief. We're going to go through a brief lab now. So you can go to the link to see what the lab is about, and you can sign up for the free account. So let's go to this. So if you log in to Microsoft Azure, I'm going to the home page. If you log into Microsoft Azure, you're going to have this. I'm going to go through the whole Microsoft Azure thing now. Yeah, so here we have an opportunity to give feedback back to Microsoft. We have the support here and help. We have the settings. I like dark screen, but you can change it to like light screen if you want, but I just like dark screen. Here we have this notification that shows you some notification I deployed a service. That's why you have deployed successful. Then we have the subscription. We have the cloud shell I spoke about, where it's the online shell. Then if you come here, we have home, we have dashboard. Dashboard is going to show you like you can create your dashboard based on what you want and what you want to see. It's just like the home screen of your phone. You can create your home screen and do whatever you want. Then yeah, it's going to show you all the services they provide, all the resources they provide, explain a bit of what resource group is already. Then we have the quick starter, we have the app services. This is going to help you for deploying your web service, your web apps and your APIs. We have functional for functions, SQL servers for relational databases. We have the Cosmos DB. So the Cosmos DB is more for low latency data, so that you can get the data faster, and that's low latency, and it's I think it's better than the regular one. So it's just based on your use case. We have the virtual machine. We have the load balancer. So the load balancer is for distributing traffic to different servers. We have the storage account. We have the virtual network, which is used for connecting to the resources and to the cloud, VPNs and all that. We have the Azure Active Directory. So the Active Directory is for authentication and authorization. So authentication is for like logging into something, which has to do with what you have, who you are, and what you know. So what you have is like, for instance, they send a message to your mobile phone. What you know is like, for instance, a password. Who you are is, for instance, your fingerprint. So Microsoft has different layers to help you protect you from hackers and from people logging in without permission. So we also have like authorization. Authorization is that you give different people different roles. For instance, what the data engineer wants to do is different from what AI engineer is going to do, different from what the architect is going to do, different from what the data scientist is going to do. So you can give people different access rights. So you have the monitors, of course, to show you to monitor your data, your application, and all that. You have the advisory to advise you on things. You have the security center to secure your application and all that. You have the cost management. I told you a bit about that earlier on. You have the help and support. So if you go to the lab, to the lab URL, you're going to be on this page. So today we're going to just do like getting started with Azure machine learning. So here we need to create a workspace. I've explained what a workspace is, and we need to create a compute instance. So if we log into Microsoft Azure, you go to create a resources, then you type in machine learning, you create, then you put your workspace name, the subscription, your resource group, the location, which is the region. So there are two basics, two editions of the workspace, the basic and the enterprise. So based on the service you want, of course, the enterprise has more service, and of course it's more expensive. So once you do that, I've created one before. Once you create a workspace, right, and then it creates a resource group. So now if I go to my resource group, so the resource group I created for this demo is called DSN Demo Resource Group. So that's like Data Science Nigeria Demo. So if you click on the resource group, you have different resources automatically created. So automatically you have like this keywords, this storage account, the container registry, the application insight, and the machine learning resources automatically created. Then we need to create a container instance which are already created. But so here we create a workspace. Here you have to create the container instance. So once you create the container instance, it's going to show you, it's going to give you a link to access your Azure Machine Learning Studio. So once you click on Machine Learning Studio, you go you get to this page. So from this, you have, so it tells you like you open the Machine Learning Studio, which is called mlazure.com. Then you create a compute instance, which I already did, and then you install. You go to the terminal, install you upgrade your SDKs, seal it to the users folder, and clone a Microsoft Azure lab. I already did that. So if you once you finish creating the workspace, you go to this studio, Machine Learning Studios, go to compute, go to create, add new, already created one, go to the Python script, you go to new, go to terminal, you clone the repository. I already did that now, so the repository is inside my user folder, and it's called the MSLearn AML lab. So once you do all that now, so you're going to be on this page. So today we want to work on this deploying a model. So deploying a model, you go to this page. it's going to open this page. We're just going to briefly go through it. I already run most of the cells so that it's going to be faster and to avoid wasting time. So you import, you connect to your model, you import Azure ML core, you import the workspace. So I'm using the 1.2.0 version of the works of Azure ML. Then here I'm sure most of us are going to be used to what we are doing in this cell. This just has to do with Azure. So you create an experiment. The experiment is before, so it's called the diabetes training experiment. Then we start the run, which has to do with running this experiment several times. And then all this place just has to do with data science, where you have the target and you have the features and the targets, you split the data. Here we're using the decision tree model, you get the accuracy of the model. So we save the model and we save it as data as diabetes model in our output folder. So when you run this cell, it's going to show you that you have an accuracy of 88%. So we register. Register means like save. So we save a model, then register the model. Register the model means so that you can use this model anytime you want to use it. So now we deploy this our saved model. So you can create different version of a model. So here I only run the model once, so I have only one version of the model. So here you can get a list of all the version of the model. Then so this just to show me the version of the model I'm going to deploy. So here I create a folder to keep this version of my model. And so here is the most interesting thing, because this is where we do the deployment. So we are going to deploy this model as a web service. So here you call the model I told you earlier on is called diabetes model. And here is where this is a function to allow users or customers to use the model when you deploy it as a web service. So it's going to get the data, the new data they want to test on, and going to give them the predicted result. So here is just to manage my environment. So you know that we can have different environment for different model based. For instance, you can do a model using some PyTorch thing, and then you can use some TensorFlow thing or some Python packages and all of that. So yeah, I'm using some scikit-learn package. I am going to save my environment so that I can also. So one interesting thing is that you can use this same environment for different models or for different runs for different models, stuff like that, just to help you repeat things. That's why we do this. So here I have my the Python version I'm using and all that. Then the next thing now is to deploy our sieve model online. So we are going to use the deploy configuration function. And so based on the services we've created up earlier on, we deploy this model now. So now when the deploy is successful, then I just check if my service is running, and now we use this deployed model. So this is a user now, a user. So this is a JSON file, right? So the user has a new data with this, and then it sends this to to our service, the service we created, and then it gets a return that the based on the data, the patient has diabetes. So this is a user using what we have deployed online. And of course, you can use more than one-on-one data. So this is like two patient, and you get the result of the patient. So if you a bit familiar with web, you know what we call endpoint. So you have the endpoint. An endpoint is created here. You can send requests to the endpoint and all of that. So this just to give you a walkthrough of deploying and influencing of our model. So we go back to our slide. So here we've gone through this already, and now let's go to the certification itself. So I did two certification. I did the fundamentals and the data science associate exam. So the fundamental exam is called the AZ900 exam. It costs about $100, but I paid, but before tax, I paid like it also cost. Unfortunately, it also cost €100 because we spend euros in Germany, and the conversion. So I'm just always confused about €100 and $100 are different value, but it's the same thing. I mean, it's the same cost for the exam. But after tax, I paid about €120. Then the exam itself is 60 minutes. That means, but they gave you about 120. No, they gave you about 80 minutes or 90 minutes because um, some registration or some. So I did the exam online. So I had to set up your computer to do a lot of things. But the exam itself is 60 minutes. So I didn't use any paid material. All I did was I created a free account. There is what we call Microsoft Learn platform where you can have tutorial. A free tutorial is just a free tutorial on Azure fundamentals. Then I use what we call the Cloud Academic on Azure fundamentals. Those are the materials I use. It took me about 4 days because the Microsoft Learn platform, it took me like 2 days to go through the materials, and then I spent another day to 1 day to go through the cloud academic website and tutorials. Then I did another day to do a revision. So the question type for the certification is this what we call, so you don't need to type anything, right? Everything is like drag and drop, clicks and all that. No, you don't need to type anything. But there are different formats for the question. You have what we call like the repeated answer choice. So it's like, for instance, I give an example. I give an example. For instance, I tell you, how can we what tools do we have? So for instance, I give an example. Azure Machine Learning Designer is a tool. It's a tool in Azure, yes or no? Then I give another example is Azure Machine Learning Studio. It's a tool in Azure, yes or no? So the same kind of question, just differently. Then we have like, of course, multiple choice question. You can add to drag and drop and arrange some and arrange it like steps and all that. So we have so the pass mark for the certification is 700. No one knows exactly the highest score you can get because you have different numbers of questions. For instance, the question varied between 40 and 60. For me, during my exam, I had 40 questions. So I wrote a blog on how to pass this certification. So you can check it out if you really want to do it. Then also I did the DP100, which has to do with data science associate certification. Now this is more, the exam was more expensive, but the funny thing is that there's reduction for students for this exam. So I didn't have to pay that much. Then this exam is 3 hours, 180 minutes. And also I used free material. So I understand this situation in Nigeria, and also like as a student, we don't want to spend much, so you can use just free material. You don't need to pay for anything. So I use the Microsoft platform as usual, but I use this purple this Pluralsight website. They have this Microsoft Azure Data Science DP100 tutorials. I did majorly the deployment tutorials. Then the question type is very similar to what we have in the fundamentals, and the pass mark is same. I've not written a blog for this because I just did it recently, but I'm going to write it maybe tomorrow or in a few days. What else you need to know about it? So yeah, it took me about 3 days to go through it because I spent one day, like when I mean one day, like about 8 hours to go through the designing and implementing data science solution on Microsoft Learn platform. Then I spent the second day on this Pluralsight, then the third day to do revision. So each of these days I spent an average of like 8 hours. Yeah, so these are my certificates. For the Azure fundamentals, it doesn't have expiring date, but for the data science associate, it has 2 years expiring date. Yeah, so you can contact me on my LinkedIn, on my Twitter. On Twitter, I'm Trudge Robert. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for spending their time to listen to me. If you have questions, you can send me a message, you can DM me. We're willing to really help. Like I want to help anyone, and I'm willing to help you. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, you can comment. Um, yeah, so I just want to thank you. Thank you to everyone. Say thank you to everyone. Merci beaucoup to my French friends. Dankeschön to my German friends. Emailer to my Igbo friend. Nagode to my Hausa friend. And of course, our Yoruba. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀.